A stroke of luck. Mysticism and metaphysics seem to provide an answer. Do they do this? Is it better to believe that a higher power purposefully causes the one or other result? The for me better one? But why me? Why I was chosen, so richly endowed, while others is taken? The simple logical answer: I'm special. This answer had yet often terrible consequences. Why I did not die in a trench like all my comrades, as the shell hits just at the time when I was chosen to deliver a message? But I'm nothing special. No one is special. But if that is so, and I would still be rewarded by a higher power, this would be an act of extreme arbitrariness. But then this higher power would be the arbitrariness per se. By contrast, the thought of a whatever mannered coincidence is comforting yet again. Reality and actuality. Reality, that what indeed per se Kant is. Actuality, the image that my mind makes itself from the reality. That the actuality not match with the reality, I'm sure of. That the reality is not attainable, I'm sure of. That the actuality and the reality cannot be fundamentally different, I'm sure of. But to what extent the actuality and the reality match, I'm not sure of. That everyone has an actuality of its own, I'm sure of. My actuality is not distinguished towards other actualities. My actuality is based on my experiences so far. My actuality changes with new experiences. My actuality has changed in the past. My actuality is changing very strong currently. My actuality will change in the future. I do not know what the future holds ready on experiences. I do not know how far and in which direction my actuality will change. Efficient cause. Everything caused is affected, has an efficient cause. Causa efficiens, Aristotle. Nothing happens for no reason. Cause and effect. Science, not metaphysics. Thus, if something happens, then because it's possible. If it does not happen, it's not possible. The initial conditions must make the occurrence of the event possible. If the event does not occur, then the initial conditions were insufficient. What? If already a small change of the initial conditions will do to yield a completely different result? What? If the change is so small compared to the possibility of to have an effect which the cause has, that this is no longer under the control of the cause? What? If the change actually is really big, but the cause has so little control over the initial conditions as that it can control this only inadequately or even not at all? Then the yielded result is arbitrary. Should we call this then coincidence? Neurophysiology. Modern neurophysiology clearly shows that it's just not possible, as psychology likes to claim, memories of traumatic or particularly incisive events and occurrences simply to wipe out. The synaptic connections between neurons simply to undo again. Just these occurrences are creating connections and thus memories that will remain for a lifetime. One can shift them into the preconscious, attention, not into the unconscious. There they can remain for decades, indeed forever. However, there is always the possibility that they, by a triggering moment, find their way into the consciousness again. Is, if this is true, a therapy impossible? in the sense then that they could wipe out the memory forever and similar basic approaches, this needs to be affirmed. However, what is possible is the negative memory to overlay with positive impressions, so to show that dogs not always bite. A further negative event can be disastrous, of course, and negate all kinds of positively influencing opportunities. But even if the overlay succeeds, this is certainly no guarantee for that the negative memory not outcrops again. The trigger must only have a corresponding matching structure. A stroke of luck, or a gift from God. Inherent in the system. To a system belonging, part of a system being, but also unintentionally developing out of the system, often rather negative or apologizing used, in the sense that something simply is inherent in the system, therefore nothing can be done about it, or one just simply has to accept it. With pleasure used in politics, but also in some philosophies. But then the question arises whether in a system inherent things, insofar as they exist at all, should not be raised to question utterly, or if they are real and exist in a system, then cast doubt on the system as such, or even lead it ad absurdum. Path. Is it important which path one goes? I believe from the bottom of my heart, no. It's just unbearable to want to say someone which path he should go. This is no contradiction thereto to say that I can introduce my way to others, yes, even promote for it. At least then, if it's meant in the sense of Anglo-American philosophers like Richard Rorty, to the effect that I show my way, to look at what might be good or bad thereon, interesting or worth of imitation, difficult or problematic. If someone wants to take this path, good. If not, maybe even better. If all go the same way, stagnation, pure logic. If all physicists would only work on one theory, this could be awesome, lead to unexpected findings in an incredibly short time. It only would have to be the correct theory. But it would be a dire and terrible, it would be a wrong theory. Therefore, the scientific principle always pursue many different paths parallel, at least until there are good reasons to prefer a theory is so awesome. Because even then always applies, the preferred theory, and it always remains a theory, is only valid till such time as until it comes to a contradiction or even its disproof. Natural science is the greatest achievement of mankind, because of this and other similar principles. Nothing has altered this history of mankind more than this quest for knowledge and its success. Disappointing only that history still, because of a pointless historical narrative, is seen as a succession of rulers and their wars. Not the human per se, and much less his greatest achievements, those of the natural science, be considered. But how drastic and dramatic this has changed the world. Perhaps the introduction of hygiene has altered the history more than the Second World War. Surely even. What now can be called as a conclusion? There is just no conclusion. Stroke of luck. Should probabilistic statements comfort me? Should illusion of control comfort me? Why should they? Even if they supply an explanation on a whatever mannered why, applied on both the world as well as an I. The fact remains that I have to live with it as long as this life just lasts. Everything adds up to, as in modern physics, that one can no longer penetrate to the objects, but only the attributes in an assessment of probability can be considered. There is no why, therefore there is no because of that. Then there is also no answer, no such at least. No fall, no salvation, only the city. Thoughts about Wittgenstein. I went to the cinema and watched Twilight Zone, the movie. The third episode was arranged as an animated film. The director John Dante reasoned this therewith because in animated films everything is possible, there are no limits. This was a revelation for me. Not that I wanted to begin to make animated films, but it referred to me this meant that in my films, these in my head, I also had to have no limits. And the special, no one will ever see the films, never someone will be able to see them. So for me, this meant that I could do everything in my imagination, and I mean everything. Each excess, each frenzy, each perversion, but also every feeling in an immense increase to live out. And thereto, it actually requires not a bit more. Only an immense imagination is needed. Should one give the imagination a hand? Many have made it, especially in my youth. I can understand it. The imagination is simply hardly to tame seduction. But as tempting as this may be, so sensible it already is at the first moment also, so glorious that it may be at the first moment and probably just is, the price is too high. William S. Burroughs, Chunky. Probably one of the most important books I ever read. And then there's a problem. When the irrepressible imagination does not seem to be enough, would have had some just more imagination or simply left it at their fantasies, humans would have been spared much. And my fantasies? Honestly? Well, almost honest, almost the truth about. Some of my wishes, dreams, fantasies I would like to live out in reality. To experience everything only in the imagination I think kills a person in the course of time. But I do not want to die, not now. A little I want to do something meaningful. A little I want to live out my imagination. I want to clear that I can clear never. A little at least. Why violence? Why just can nature be so beautiful, but also so terrible? Why just are humans able to do so unspeakably beautiful things, but also so unspeakably terrible things? Why just are humans able to be so wildly creative, but also so wildly destructive? Why just are humans able to be so wonderfully tender, but also so wild-heartful? Only art is absolute beautifulness and grandeur, as well as the woman. Thank you for listening.